Okay, so once again, thank you so much for being here, and really honored to have you and hear all your insights and the insights that you'll be giving to us. So, just a short introduction for our viewers here. Anjali Dhaliwal is an award-winning change maker who champions equitable opportunity for youth. At only 19, she has been named an International Reebok Human Rights Award finalist, SBOT Top 25 under 25, and is the youngest to represent Canadian youth at the G20 YEA Global Leadership Summit in Italy. And her most notable achievement, perhaps, is that she has founded one of North America's fastest growing youth led nonprofits called Youth Helping Youth when she was just 16. Every year, Youth Helping Youth serves over 9 million youth as an accessible, youth centric platform for discovering opportunities to further personal and professional development. So that's just some of the work that Anjali Dhaliwal is doing, and we're really excited to have you here. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
So before we begin, would you perhaps like to introduce yourself in like your own words?
Yeah, of course. I think besides all the accolades, I'm just really a student and a child. I'm a daughter of two amazing parents. I'm a sister to a brother that's a little bit younger than me, but way better at cooking than I am. And I'm a student. I go to school at the end of the day. And I think the very important thing that I always like to tell young people, especially, is that I just consider myself a normal human at the end of the day. And I think if I can accomplish all these crazy things, I think anyone can. So at the end of the day, even though you hear all these crazy things, it all just starts with taking action, even if it's at a very small level, and it just grows from there, especially if the action you're taking is worthwhile. I think you're going to see that people want to support that. So I think that's how YHY started right here from Vancouver, where I'm located, and it just kind of grew out from there as well. So at the end of the day, just remember you have the voice to make a difference.
I think that's very true. Right. So we also wanted to ask, how much did your childhood affect why you chose this part of entrepreneurship?
That's a great question. I think for me, I've always been into humanitarian causes because of my parents. I always remember we'd always donate clothes, we'd always give back to the food bank, I'd always be volunteering through my own community and culture. So I think growing up to give back was a huge part of just who I was and how I grew up and what my parents valued and pushed on to their children's to value as well. So it's just something that I really took on. And I think I went towards education just because I found so many barriers in it myself. I grew up in a more marginalized part of BC, which means that there weren't as many opportunities available for me when it came to education. There wasn't as many resources that were there to support children, especially children that came from immigrants or were immigrants themselves. They just kind of like pushed you all into this one bucket and expected you to figure it out on your own. And so I really felt like there needed to be more resources to support these young people so that they were at the exact same level as anyone else. And that's what really motivated me to start YHY is how do we create that equitable opportunity for everyone, no matter what their backgrounds are.
That's really inspiring to hear. I think like just seeing the barriers that you know see around you, and then taking action is really something that's very unique because not everyone acts upon the things that they see around them. So that's very inspirational. And you definitely did answer our next question, which was about what was the spark that ignited the idea to starting Youth Helping Youth. But you are doing such a huge job. I mean, it's honestly very, very huge, like all the responsibilities that you're taking up, handling all these huge logistics. And then there does come challenges with it, right? So what are the stereotypes that you face as a young change maker, and how do you navigate yourself through it?
That's a great question. I think for one, it's definitely being young. I think just by being young, sometimes you're not able to be in rooms, or even if you are somehow able to get into these rooms, you're not treated with the same amount of respect that someone that is 20 or 30 or 40 and has decades of experience behind them is treated as. So I think that, for one, can definitely be difficult when you're trying to establish yourself as having this credibility, and people not being able to see past your age, I think can be quite difficult. And so they don't take the cause as seriously as I think a lot of people should. So that's been a huge barrier. And I think the best way to just mitigate that and go through that is just to be confident in yourself and to know yourself and your organization and the amazing team that you're working with. And knowing that this is serious, that this is not just some like youth-led initiative, but this is something that's actually creating pivotal change within communities across North America and hopefully soon the globe. So for me, it's really about staying true to who I am and my vision, and knowing the amazing work that Youth Helping Youth is doing, and knowing that no matter what others might be saying, to stay true to that and staying true to that no matter what my age is, I think for me was very important. Another barrier is just not having access to things, I think, so easily. I think sometimes I don't know what the right resources are, what the right program to do is, or the right accelerator for YTY. And that's kind of something I've had to navigate on my own and find my own mentors. Whereas I think sometimes when you start an organization, that's kind of readily available to you. So I think that's one thing I've had to go out and do my own. And even with that, so just be resource heavy, and I think always look for resources and finding resources and stay resourceful in those situations as well.
Those words are really inspiring. So, and the fact that you never gave up on this dream to start this organization. What does entrepreneurship mean to you personally, and how have your achievements affected you?
Oh, that's a great question. I think to me, entrepreneurship is wanting to create a difference. I think no matter you're doing something that is humanitarian or you're building a business, at the end of the day, you have to help people. At the end of the day, you have to impact humans in a positive way that makes their lives better than it was before, humans or animals or plants or whatever it is. But there needs to be some positive impact. We oftentimes hear about these companies that are maybe not doing the most ethical things, but I think at the end of the day, they're still helping people in some way. Otherwise, I don't think you can be successful as an entrepreneur. So for me, I think when I think of entrepreneurship, I think about helping and creating positive impact. And that's what I correlate it as. When it comes to how it has impacted me, um, I think it gave me an avenue to be myself, if that makes sense. A lot of the times I felt like I never fit into one bucket. In school, we do sciences, we do math, we do humanities and arts and all these subjects, and I could never find one that I really enjoyed. I loved all of them. And I feel like even going through my life now, I can't really pick one. I just love to do everything and learn about everything. And entrepreneurship's really great because you can put on those multiple hats and you can kind of do a little bit of everything, which I really love. And I think that's how it's impacted me. It's kind of given me a role in society and giving me a role where I feel like I really fit while still being able to be passionate and doing the work that I love to do.
I think I really resonate with that sentiment of yours. You don't really necessarily always find a place where you fit in, but there's always this special place where you just can be yourself, unapologetically. And I think it's so beautiful to see, that you discovered entrepreneurship as a way to express yourself. So that's definitely something that, our viewers can also take away from you. Like there's always something waiting for you out there that's gonna give you the empowerment, just be yourself. So that's very inspiring. And in context, yeah, in context to this, you did speak about how entrepreneurship has given you that empowerment and changed your life. So is there a special memory you made in your journey as a young entrepreneur, and being the founder of an organization that helps youth navigate their way through high school and beyond? How has that intersection of entrepreneurship and being, a high school student who's actually helping people of their age, impacted you?
Great question. for me, the most memorable moment that I had was looking at like the 2-year anniversary of YHY. And I was just sitting there with the amazing team that Youth Helping Youth has. And we were just sitting and kind of reflecting on the progress that we've made. And I think we were all just in awe and in shock. And we didn't really know what to say. We didn't really have words in our mouth because I feel like sometimes we're so busy working on the now, that we never really took a chance to see the big picture of how big YHY has gotten. Because if I look back, I really started Youth Helping Youth sitting on my kitchen counter one day. It was probably like 6 a.m. And I was just like working away. And I'm like, this is something that I really want to do. Whereas now, when I saw it 2 years from now, I saw this amazing team in front of me that was also very passionate about this cause. I saw this events that we run. We were looking at all these testimonials from people who have run, who have been to our events and seen our events and been impacted by the work YHY is doing. And I think for me to just see that physically, to see something that was once in your mind be a reality in front of you was just absolutely insane. And I think so crazy. And I think that's one thing that's really struck with me and stayed with me for however many months and years I've been working on YHY now, just to see that impact. And I think that was the first time where I really saw something, some crazy idea I had in my head be physically visible in the real world. And so for me, that was definitely my milestone. And in terms of the second question on entrepreneurship and how I've really seen it impact me and like the work that I'm doing, I think, it's a good question. I think it's allowed me to see a very good side of humanity and what's possible. I think sometimes it's so hard to take a step to create change because the problem seems so big and it seems so unsolvable. We look at these big problems like poverty and global warming and like inequitable opportunity, and it just seems so big. It's like, how could I possibly tackle this, especially only being 16? If there's like billionaires and trillionaires that can't solve this problem, how can I possibly solve it? And I think it's so easy to get wrapped up in all of that. And one thing that I've really taken away is you can make a difference. Even if it's at some small micro level, that is a difference that you are making. And that could be pivotal. And that could create ripples against other places in the world, ripples that are very much needed. So for me, when I look back at entrepreneurship, it's just about creating a change. And it's just about, even if it's small, it's change. And that's what matters. Even if it's a small progress, it's progress. And that's what I've really taken away.
Think it's very wonderful how you put this, because I think it's really important for us to realize that every change is a change and you can't really do anything until you actually start off with it. So definitely how you talked about how you just sat in your kitchen counter one day and then youth helping youth became such a big project. So there must have been definitely a lot of obstacles that you must have had to face. So how did you overcome them?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think the hardest one was just being a student and being an entrepreneur at the side. Especially, I think when I was in grade 12, you have university, you have grades that really do impact where you go. And at that time, I really wanted to get a full ride into university, which is like having it fully paid for. And so for me, I was really navigating, how do I be a student and still invest in me and care about my progress, but also care about Youth Helping Youth, who is creating incredible impact, and invest time into that. And I found my strings were pulled in two separate ways where I felt the need to do both, but you didn't want to overdo one, if that made sense. And so I feel like that's one that a lot of student entrepreneurs I face go through. It's just, how do you pick whether to work on you and work on this organization? And I think that's one thing that I never really figured out. Even now I'm in second year university and I still don't know which one to go to sometimes. So I think it just depends on the time, and setting priorities for me has really worked. So at during finals, school is my priority. That's the only thing I'm really focused on. But after that, like right now, I have break. All I'm focused on is Youth Helping Youth, and I'm really diving into this. So it's just seeing where you at life and what is really the priority right now and making time for that.
I think you definitely like the epitome of Gen Z leadership and just yeah, just like the symbol of, what Gen Z can do actually. And, just our insurmountable energy that we have. And just like all the capacity that we have to change the world. And you already have shared so many insights, how there's so many global issues that even though sound so big and so unsolvable, if you start from a microscopic level, you can always, make your way towards achieving them and, solving them. So in context to that, according to you, what are the most important issues, the important problems facing our world right now, and what we may encounter in the future?
Oh gosh, one is definitely global warming. I think there's no point of worrying about. I think there's so many social issues, but they won't really matter if we don't have a place to live. So global warming is a huge one that I really think we need to start working on, and there needs to be more people that are working towards that cause. Another one is just equal access. I think there's still so many barriers, whether it's because of race, whether it's age, whether it's gender, that are stopping these amazing people from reaching their full peak or being able to create real impact in organizations because of their race or gender, color, or sexual orientation. So I think a huge one for me is also like, how do we work towards having equal access for all peoples and treating all peoples as equal? Um, yeah, global warming. Gosh, what else? I think those are the two ones that are really important to me. Poverty is a huge one as well. I'd love to see a world where everyone has equal access to just like basic rights like water and food and shelter, because I think there's so many places in the world that still don't have that. And especially with COVID, there needs to be more access to vaccines and the proper health for that, because there's some countries that really struggle whereas I am really lucky in Canada to have not had to face those issues. So I think another one is, how do we have equal access to just medical supplies that everyone needs to be healthy and safe?
I think that's really something to think about actually. And I think Vanessa would relate when you say equal access to medical supplies, because she wishes to pursue a future in medicine, right? So, and we also wonder, because you are such an icon who has made a huge change and has helped like a lot of youth in finding their way, what advice would you want to give to young people who cannot achieve their full potential? For example, because they're just afraid of failing. What would you like to tell them?
Well, I relate to those young people because I definitely had that sense of failure for a long time. And I think one thing that really took me out of it was one day I just said to myself, if you don't believe in you, how can you expect others to? If you are your own barrier, how are you possibly to overcome all the other barriers out there? I feel like there's so many barriers that are going to be put along the way for young people, and I hope one day those leave. But for the time being, if those are still there, at least believe in yourself. At least believe that you are capable and you are worth creating that change, because there's going to be 100 people that tell you you're not. But at least tell yourself that you are, because you are the only opinion that you need to listen to. And if you believe in you, the world will believe in you. So that's what I'd leave it with.
I think that actually, and another thing, like adding to what you said, I mean, it's so important for our generation's voice to also be heard, um, because there's so many pertinent problems facing, and there's just so many problems in the world currently, and we know that there's always going to be problems, but then that should not deter us from bringing about change. And I think just the motivation that you have taken up is the perfect example of how people can also, the Gen Z especially, can take up their mantle and bring about change. So I think another thing which is very unique about you is that you have a very unique identity, your background, and what you think, your passions, your vision. And I think that also correlates to your vision of why it is important for our generation's voices to be heard. So um tell us more about how your identity, your background has influenced whatever you're doing right now.
That's a great question. So I guess a little bit of context. I know I say I'm from Vancouver, but that's just how everyone like knows BC. If you know Surrey, it's right beside Vancouver, and that's where I'm really from. And I think by growing up there has really influenced who I am today. I am a daughter of immigrants who are absolutely amazing people. I think I watched my parents grow from working like entry level positions to where they are now, where they have like financial freedom, where they're able to support their children and go on trips, and to really see that and to watch them working so hard, where they worked full-time jobs, and then after that they worked even more, and they went to sleep at these very late times and woke up very early, and to see them do that every day consistently, I think has been a huge influence on why I feel like I have to work hard, and I feel like I need to make them proud as well. So I think just living with parents like that has been a huge influence on who I am. I think being Indian and being South Asian, especially in a place like Canada, has really influenced who I am as well. And being a female has really influenced me, and especially starting at such a young age and walking into rooms where I might be the only female or the only South Asian and young person there. It feels like I'm not just carrying the weight of being a young person in that room and representing all of young people, but sometimes it's also I'm representing all of South Asians and I'm representing all of females. So I think for me, it's really being able to settle into that and realizing at the end of the day that it's just about creating change. And that's what I really need to remember at the end of the day. And I hope that I can just be one of the many people that are going to go out and create change into the world, especially that are South Asian females, just like you and you guys as well. So yeah, that's a little bit of my background.
That's beautiful to hear. And we've seen like a lot, we've read a lot about the work that youth helping youth has been doing, but we would like to hear it from you. Like, would you want to tell us more about the work that your organization has been doing? And you've also said that in your eyes, entrepreneurship is something that makes a change that helps people. So how exactly has youth helping youth been offering a place that helps people?
A great question. So, for one, Youth Helping Youth is a nonprofit organization that aims to bridge the gap between high school students and all the resources and opportunities that are out there to support them. These could be workshops, conferences, podcasts that could just be pivotal to their own success, and kind of bridging those together and seeing where it could lead these young people and really allowing them to create the best future for themselves with as much clarity as they possibly need that these workshops and programs could provide them. And we promote these opportunities through social media platforms, mainly through our Instagram, as well as running events. So when we notice that young people really want to start their own initiatives, but there's no handbook or guidebook to do that, we went out of our way to create a webinar series where it's like how to finance for your initiative, how to start your initiative, how to do marketing for your initiative, how to like plan events or plan initiatives like that as well. So we also run events based on what young people are needing, and we do it based on local regions. So we have one right here in BC, and then we have quite a few outside in different parts of North America. We have two in the US, in Seattle and San Francisco, and the rest all over Canada. And they're really about how do we work within our own local communities to create real sustainable change. Um, I know it's been a really fun time to just work with these incredible people. And I think for me, when it comes to impact, it's just seeing how much we've grown from being just me on a social media account with 10 followers to where we are now, where we have over 30,000 followers across all of our chapters. And we've impacted even more young people through events. And even just the team that I get to work with, I absolutely love the young people that volunteer at YHY and the work that they do and their passion for really working towards this equal access of opportunity. And to see that everyone just comes to work with new ideas and big ideas to create new change and working on how we can further elevate YHY. So, yeah, that's a little bit about YHY and the work that we do, and so far, kind of the impact we've had as well.
Yeah, that's so inspiring actually. I mean, we have been following your work for quite a long time now, about 6 months, and then we have seen, your organization has also been recognized multiple times by rightfully recognized, obviously, because of all the amazing work that you've been doing. And of course, you do have such a long-term vision. You've already spoken about, the pertinent problems, global problems that are currently there, and I know that you would want to endeavor to solve them. So, how about could you tell us more about your future endeavors? Perhaps campaigns, upcoming projects, and just the typical question of where do you see yourself in the next 10 years, perhaps?
That's a great question. Definitely bigger and impacting millions of more young people. Right now, we're in North America, but we do have plans to come to Asia soon. So hopefully that will happen. But we're just wanting to grow try to have chapters across the world where we're impacting every young person at any possible corner of the world where they need that support. And I'd also love to see just us kind of transform into an ed tech. So that's definitely been conversations we've been having within our own team. Right now, we're an educational nonprofit, but we'd love to integrate some technology into the work that we do as well. So that's a little bit about the future and where we're headed.
Yeah, can't wait to see where you're going. Honestly, that sounds very exciting. So that's really great to hear. And then that kind of brings us to the end of our conversation. But then, like, thank you so much for being here. And then, really loved hearing all your insights, especially sitting here as South Asians, and also just being like I'm 16 years old. Akanksha, you're also 16, right?
70.
Oh yeah, 17. So kind of the same age range, and seeing you doing all the work that you do is very inspiring. So definitely, we can't wait to see the heights where you'll be going, and I know your potential is unreachable. So thank you so much for being here, and for just accepting our invitation. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate this conversation. I love learning more about you guys and the amazing work that you're doing as well. I know that you guys are Gen Z that are going to create incredible change, and so I am here to follow you just as much. Thank you so much for your time again.